last fall, we purchased some property there on Garrett Lane in the hopes to develop that land. We did a lot of studies of what was needed in Rockford. We talked to a lot of the local people, and we came up with that we needed some apartment units there. They are all two-story garden-style apartments with attached garages. And then the other part of the PUD that we went in for approval is a 7 acres, and we're planning on doing an assisted living memory care facility. And so we went through our studies. We worked with the city to see what their requirements were. And on some of the drawings that we had, which I think we have these showing here, site plans and things like that. We just had some requests that they'd like to see more windows in the garages and also more brick on the building and stuff. And we accommodated that. And we've been working closely with Scott and Carl and trying to accommodate all their requirements. And we went to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Very happy with that. And then we also we hired a local management company out of Rockford to manage these apartments, and we're very excited to be in Rockford and to bring these apartment units and hopefully the assisted living. We're working closely on that right now. So if any of, I'm going to introduce Brad here now, and he can give you more because he's our engineer. He deals with the lighting, the retention ponds, and all that type of stuff. So I think that's all for me right now, and I'll answer any questions later. But Brad, if you want to let them know about the lighting and whatever. So.
Sure. Thanks, Shell. I'm going to kind of walk. So I'm Brad Betcher with General Engineering up in Portage, Wisconsin. We are hired by the folks at Rockford Living Community to help them out with their site planning, which includes, as Shell mentioned, some of the stormwater, sanitary sewer site planning, site design, water main, those types of things. And what I'm going to do is, and I've got up on my screen, which you can see, is I'm going to run through the drawings that we've already submitted. So as Carl kind of mentioned where we're at, we're in the tentative plat submittal, which means that there's a lot more work to do yet. So we've done enough work to kind of know where things can go and what we can do, but we don't have all of the details worked out specific design wise, meaning the depth of the sanitary sewer may not be figured out, but we kind of know where it's going. The stormwater, we generally know obviously what's going on with the existing site. We kind of know what we want to do with the proposed site, but we haven't done those calculations yet. So there's a great opportunity for us to gather some input and some concerns, and if we can build that into our plan, this is the perfect time to do it. We're not at the end, we're kind of in the middle, so we can incorporate some of those things. So let me walk you through the drawings that were submitted to the city that have been approved, at least to this point, through the planning and zoning, and we're up to the council level. So this is what you see here is kind of the overall site. This is Garrett Lane right here. This is North Perryville on kind of the right side. Our site is this bold black line here, which is pretty much the farm field that is on the north side of Garrett Lane. Just for reference, Home Depot is the zone C2 area here. This is kind of then now a blow up of that parcel that the clients have purchased, which again is this overall boundary, and I'll zoom in here in a minute. But basically the left, I would say about 2/3 is the multifamily residential component, and about the right 1/3 is the assisted living and memory care facility. And we've got it kind of phased out. And I'm going to zoom in here even further so we can see it a little bit better. So this is, and I'll actually zoom in just a little bit further here. We can kind of see what's going on. This is basically the multifamily component. There's a number of buildings. These are all two-story type buildings. We've broken it into two phases, although I think we'll not build, all of these buildings at once. They'll be built kind of sequentially. But initially, we're talking about phase one, which is kind of the right half of this component. Phase two is kind of the left half. And what we've got is the buildings along Garrett Lane garages are all facing inwards. So you're not going to see garages from Garrett Lane. Everything's going to be kind of facing in. There's going to be a circular drive motion inside once you get in, and there's two ways to get in and out here. A couple of short dead ends just to get to those particular units. The utilities, which I have on a different drawing, and I can go through here in a minute, sanitary sewer and water main. But the general concept is to have two stormwater ponds kind of in the middle that will be wet ponds, potentially even some fountains in there, some common space in between so that people could be, using that for some recreation. We've got some paths shown going around connecting to the park, some walking paths. And again, these are all two-story buildings. I think I mentioned that already. None of them are facing out. Garages are all facing in. And that's kind of the multifamily component. If I zoom back out here, go to my next page, that's the assisted living and the memory care. Here we've got, this is actually a 4-story building primarily, which is the part I'm going around with my cursor. That's the 4-story component. This component near the road on the south end is only a single story. So the mass of the building will be partially blocked. It won't be a 4-story building right out by the road. It'll be a single story building there. And then on both sides here and here are shorter 1-story buildings for the entryway, kind of the back of house type kitchen delivery areas, storage, those kinds of things. The back of house side is on the west. So that's where deliveries go and those types of things back here. Parking for visitors and guests are going to be on the east side. We've also buffered that a little bit with the museum property to the north by having the kind of the common space. And if we're going to do any type of playground or we have a little dog park area and stuff, we're going to put that here, kind of a north end of the parking lot. Stormwater wise here, primarily most of the building water and everything east is going to go to a new stormwater pond that will be wet kind of in the northeast corner. There probably will be some stormwater that's going to go to the west. We intend this to be a dry pond and it will actually flow through into our wet ponds and continue to the west. Moving forward here, this is the utility plan. Generally speaking, we're tying into sewer and water on Garrett Lane. We're going to be extending that into the site to serve our buildings like this and like this. The water main will be looped so that from an outage standpoint, we'll be able to provide service to all the buildings with minor interruptions only, and we're not going to be at a dead end. This also does kind of lay out what our intent is from a stormwater standpoint. Again, our stormwater is collected into these ponds, it ends up discharging towards Saturn Park, and ends up flowing kind of to the northwest. So our intent is no water, or very limited, only from the yards here would be flowing south to Garrett Lane. Everything else should be draining internally to our stormwater ponds and out towards Saturn Park. If I skip forward another page, we'll get to the assisted living memory care. Again, we're going to have kind of this backage sanitary and water system here to serve the back of the house and into the building. We'll probably end up somehow looping the water main either around the building or through the building to get some fire hydrants on the front side. But again, all of our water from the building to the east is going to go to our stormwater pond. This is our grading plan that just shows the existing contours. We actually haven't done the final grading plan yet. I've just started that this week to kind of lay out what the floor elevations of the buildings and things are. But this just shows the existing contours. And I guess what you would notice is there's a high point in the field, kind of about where where the assisted living building is. So that's kind of our break point. Everything to the west of there will flow west and kind of ends up down in this back corner back here. Everything to the east of the building flows east. If I fast forward the page, here's our kind of that ridge line that all flows to the east here. Then that will discharge to the storm sewer that's in Garrett Lane. At least that's the intent at this point. Again, those calculations have not been done. This is our concept or our schematic, and we know we've got to lots of rules and regulations we have to follow with regard to stormwater, sanitary sewer, and water main, and those kinds of things. But we're at least well on our way. We've received some comments back from a couple of those departments regarding just like water main looping and things like that. This is the landscaping plan. What we did is we just kind of broke down areas that have to be landscaped and what those mean. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So we've got kind of a frontage right-of-way area, which is obviously the area along the road. So that's from a screening standpoint. What we know about all the landscaping, there's the landscape buffers, which are on the rear of the property, if you will, which I know there's a woods there now, but we actually had a meeting with the museum folks and discussed some of the landscaping and some of the site lighting, their concerns. We've got open space and interior landscaping, which is everywhere else, basically, right in the floor areas. And the one is just shade trees. And there's a substantial number of shade trees that have to be incorporated into our plan. And the reason we didn't locate yet all of the specific landscape elements is because we do expect us to shift around just a little bit as far as honing in on the building footprint and incorporating all the design elements. We actually get the specific design. That's kind of the last thing we do because those things end up moving around a little bit. And rather than do it 2 or 3 times, we just wanted to acknowledge that we understand these different zones and what's required in the different zones, but we didn't go through the final effort of actually placing each individual tree as of yet. But that will all be part of the final platting process, which is kind of the next step. And for me, that's at least a couple of months away to kind of get through all the design of this. That was just a copy of the existing survey. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. This will just take me a minute. I'm going to pull up the building drawings. It'll just take me a minute to find them here. I didn't have them up, but I apologize. I realized that partway through, and I thought that I'd find them pretty quickly. So bear with me. I'm just finding it here. Unfortunately, I don't have these in one PDF. I'm opening them up right now in multiple PDFs. I've got 3 of them here, and I will share that. So from the 2-story units, this is kind of a 3-dimensional rendering of what that looks like. Zoom in here a little bit so we can kind of see that. So this would be like the street side or the non-garage side here. You can see, as Shell mentioned, there was some discussion about some additional windows were added, some brick was added. And you can see that we have some 3-dimensional perspective to the buildings, where you can see there's some bumps in and bumps out going on. And there's also some different colorings going on to help accentuate the different looks of the building. Yeah, and these are the 2 ends here of the buildings. And let me see if I can. I'm assuming I'm still sharing here. You can see I just switched. Is that correct? Carl, is that correct?
Yep, looks like it.
Okay. So this is now the garage side. So this would be the internal side that you're not going to see from the public roadway. But this would be the garage side. So you can see the garage doors here. And there'll be parking spaces then in front of the garage doors as well. So they'll have 1 space inside and 1 space outside each unit. You can see there's access into the units then themselves from the outside in a couple of locations. And once they get inside, they'll be able to go to their units. But you can see the different colors, the amount of windows, the amount of brick that we've been working through. And again, here's some notes about the different, vinyl windows and sliders, aluminum railing system for the balconies that are here. And I'm not the architect, so I don't know as much about the siding of the buildings and things, but I think between Shell and I, we could probably answer questions if we need to on that. But that's kind of my presentation. And again, we're not at 100% design by any means. So as we learn more about some of the questions or concerns people have, those are some things that we can incorporate in the design potentially. And there may be some questions that I can't answer yet because we're not that far along.